Awesome. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Worldviews. Today we have on Rabbi Manis Friedman. Rabbi is a author, social philosopher, and also has publicly spoke all over the world. Manis is also known as the most popular YouTube rabbi in the world with over 500,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. Rabbi Manis, thanks for coming on Worldviews.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course, of course. Rabbi, can you just start us off with explaining kind of your spiritual upbringing, how you grew up?
I grew up in the Chabad educational system, which is a Hasidic group headquartered in Brooklyn, New York, Crown Heights. And the philosophy is a universal approach to Judaism based on the Torah, of course, and the relevance of it to the world today is just fantastic. So, 80 million viewers can't all be Jewish. There are only 14 or 15 million Jews in the world. So the popularity is far beyond the Jewish community. So it's an approach on how to serve God, why God created the world, what are we doing here, what is the end goal, where is all this leading? It's questions everybody needs to answer.
Mm. And how different is that sect from, I guess, other sects of Judaism?
Yes, every sect has not only its style, but also its ambition. I don't know of any other group that wants to change the world.
Why do you think that is?
Why? For most of our history, we've been unable to have a voice at all, much less change the world. So, we've gotten accustomed to having small expectations. Let's just have a good community of our own and we'll be happy. But no, that's not good enough.
How would you define the term Judaism?
I actually don't like the word because I don't like the isms. 3,300 years ago, God gathered the Jewish people at Mount Sinai and said, "Here's my plan. Are you in?" And we said, "Yes." And we've been in ever since. So Judaism means fulfilling God's plan as described in the Bible, in the Torah, given at Mount Sinai 3,000 years ago. Knowing where you're going and having a purpose in life is really helpful. You can eliminate the anxiety pills, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. What led you to become a rabbi?
Well, the way we are raised is that if you're not serving the community or the people or the world, then you're not really living up to your potential. So everyone in this philosophy, in this way of thinking, feels responsible to improve the world, and sometimes even change the world for the better. So I couldn't wait to get out of school and start teaching and sharing what I've learned. It's that exciting.
So it sounds like your specific sect is a philosophy/religion. So you guys hold to your beliefs in God, beliefs in the Torah, but at the same time, I guess, over your goal otherwise is also to maximize virtues outside of that as well.
Or the other way around. We are a philosophy in the religion of Judaism, if we can call it a religion, which is another issue. I think religion has basically, I mean, despite all its philosophy, religion is a means of getting to heaven. In Judaism, getting to heaven is not our ambition, not our goal, and not our purpose. The purpose is to bring God down to earth. So it's very different from religion.
Interesting. But you guys obviously still subscribe to there being an afterlife. But if you subscribe to heaven, do you guys also subscribe to the idea of hell too?
Sure.
Okay. And how is it decided how does one go to heaven versus hell from your purview?
Well, it's not up to me. I'm very thankful for that. I would hate to have that job. How do you get to heaven? If you do good, you go to heaven. If along the way you do some bad, then you got to make an adjustment before you can get into heaven. And that adjustment can be painful, and we call it hell.
How I guess if I was in the religion, my question would be how do I know that I'm doing good enough to go to heaven?
Well, the commandments are very specific, very clear. If you're not committing adultery and you're not killing anybody and you're honoring your mother and father and you give charity, you're good. You deserve heaven. If along the way you do some bad stuff, then you got to wash it off, you got to clean it up. So on your way to heaven, you clean up. So the way it's like nobody goes to hell. It's not a destination. You go through hell to get to heaven. And if you're not going to heaven, you don't go to hell either. You just stop existing because there's nothing. If there's nothing to salvage, you don't suffer forever. That's just pointless and cruel. If there's nothing to salvage and you're not going to heaven, then don't go through hell either. You just stop existing. It's over.
So then annihilationism is a common belief then.
I'm not sure it's annihilation. You get transformed into generic energy or something, but you're no longer a soul. You're no longer yourself.
Is that does that come straight from the Torah?
Yeah.
Interesting. Where is that in the Torah?
Well, there's the written Torah and there is the oral Torah. We came away from Mount Sinai with part of the instructions written and a bigger part oral, the explanation. This is in the explanation. Stop this phone.
You're a busy man.
Just the phone is busy. So anyway, this is why it's a little bit misleading to call Judaism a religion or an ism. We're just doing our job.
As a rabbi, because I always think about, when it comes to people that are priests, imams, rabbis, like what their day to day looks like on the role, the job, whatever you want to call it. What does your day to day look like as a rabbi?
Well, like everybody else, we have our daily obligations, whether you're a rabbi or not. Pray 3 times a day, keep kosher, you don't work on Sabbath, you give charity, you study Torah. Then, as a rabbi, you're also responsible for the community, for students if you have a school, for the congregation if you lead a congregation. So it's a pretty full-time job.
What's the most challenging part about it for you? And what do you enjoy the most about it?
What we're doing right now is the most enjoyable.
Right now, talking to me is the most enjoyable.
Yes, and thank God for the internet.
Oh, yeah, easily. Is am I also the biggest challenge?
No, the biggest challenge is people who don't wanna learn.
Is that something you come across a lot?
Yeah, people stuck in their opinion, and they don't wanna change, and they don't wanna no matter how good it is, they just don't want to bother changing.
When you say changing, what are they changing to or and changing from, I guess?
Well, a little more idealistic, a little more ambitious about the goodness of the world. People are jaded. I mean, I can't blame them, but it's a challenge getting them out of their indifference.
Do you interact with a lot of atheists?
Generally, they don't come to me for for advice, but every now and then, yeah, people who are not really atheists, but they think they are.
Really? You come across that a lot?
Oh, yeah. This guy who says to me, "Oh, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that he exists. I don't believe he ever was. I don't." I said, "Excuse me, but what's God?" He says, "I don't know." I said, "So what don't you believe?"
Well, I'd be curious to hear what you define God as.
Well, one thing is for sure, if you don't know what God is, then you can't say you don't believe it. Most people, when they say I'm an atheist, they mean I don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know. So if you don't know, of course you don't believe. So if you don't believe, you think you're an atheist. No, that doesn't work that way. To be an atheist, you have to study a lot and then say, no, I don't believe it. But if you've never studied, you can't even be an atheist. You just don't know enough.
Do you think there are any good arguments for atheism?
None at all. There's a good excuse. I've been lied to before, and I found out that it wasn't true, and I had egg on my face, and I'm not going to risk it again. That's an atheist.
Yeah, in my experience, I found that most people that subscribe to atheism I've talked to subscribe to it from that point of logic or some kind of intellectual problem. It's more of a from a problem of emotion. I assume you've come across the same. Sounds like.
And it's an insecurity. I'm not going to go out on a limb and profess a belief that I might be proven wrong, and then I'll be embarrassed because they told me there was a Santa Claus and there's not.
Have you found that they also would prefer if God did not exist?
Some, or they prefer if God does exist, that he's really not interested in me. Because if he is interested in me, it's too much pressure.
Man, that's so I don't understand why it's too much pressure. I don't know how that's the feeling you get from that. If an all-powerful creator is interested in you, that's pressure.
Well, the distorted image of God, who has a very bad reputation. If he's interested in me, he's going to punish me, guaranteed. So who needs that?
Yeah, because I imagine they try to do they often bring up the times in the Bible where God was punishing the Israelites?
Oh, yeah, even if they didn't read the Bible, all they know about God is that he punishes you. Bad reputation. I actually skipped the love part because love has become a sticky word. Uh, Even in marriage, like, skip the love. Deal with things a little more tangible and realistic. Love is elusive, you know what I mean? I love you. I don't love you. Anyway, here's the thing. The definition of God is the original being from which all else derives. Now, who doesn't believe that? The theory of evolution says it all began with subatomic particles. Well, then subatomic particles is God. So everybody believes in God. They just don't like the God of the Bible. Whatever was from which all else derives is God. God is the original being. If there's no original being, then there's nothing more to the story. So the choice is this. Either the original being from which all else derives has no idea what happened, or the original being from which all else derives knows exactly what he's doing. We prefer the God who knows what he's doing.
What is the, I suppose, usual reasons people come to you for advice?
Mostly marriage counseling or existential frustration. To exist is frustrating. And that's why people need to know the purpose of existence. Because without a purpose, existence can be very boring at best and crushingly depressing at worst. There's something about human beings. I can't exist unless I have a good reason. See, animals don't need that. Trees don't need that. Minerals don't need that. But a human being who can't find a reason to exist hates existing and wants to get himself out of that, become suicidal.
Have you found that there's more people that come to you for those existential crises? They come to you more now than ever versus in the past? You think it's kind of,
Yes,
yeah,
and younger people.
younger people?
And sometimes their problem with their marriage is really the existential problem. They're just blaming it on each other. So then you have to switch hats. No, no, no. You don't need marriage counseling. You need to figure out why you exist at all. And that will help a lot.
So you're saying they struggle with meaning and that's leaked into their marriages?
Meaning in their own existence. So they certainly can't justify coexisting. I'm having enough. I'm having a hard time with my existence. I have to worry about yours too.
Yeah, a and I imagine you yourself as married.
Oh yeah.
How long you been married for?
57 years.
Whoa! Okay, I'd love to hear you say, some tidbits on marital advice.
The only antidote to being alone in the world is marriage. Feeling alone in the world is the disease of our generation. We are the loneliest generation ever, even though we have internet. And you can get a bunch of people to like you online, which makes you feel so alone. It's really a dangerous illness because when you feel alone, your immune system crashes. And then you're vulnerable to every disease and every flu and every cold and everything. So when God said it is not good to be alone, it's not good to be alone. The only antidote is marriage. Because having parents you love is not a solution. You're still alone. Because you're not one with them. You're number 3, not number 1. With your children, you're not number 1. The only relationship in which you are number 1 is marriage. You and only you. That's a marriage. It's not parents and it's not children. Now, lately I've been noticing that people who are happily married still feel alone. And that's really scary. Because marriage, at the very least, is meant to take away the loneliness, the aloneness, which is worse than loneliness. Billy Joel has a very good song, Piano Man. And the line there is, they're sharing a drink they call loneliness, but it's better than drinking alone. Loneliness is not as bad as being alone. So loneliness you can share. Bunch of lonely people get together, they're not lonely for a while. But then they go home and they realize they're alone, and that you can't share. So why people who are happily married still feel alone? Because their marriage is shallow. Their marriage is about love and sex. And that's not a marriage because you can have that without being married. Shock. A shocking realization, discovery. You can have sex and love and children without being married. So why do you marry? So a couple who have a very good marriage, they're in love, they have good sex, they have nice kids. Why are they still feeling alone? Because they're married to the love and the sex and the kids. They're not married to each other. In fact, this one guy said to me, I love everything about my wife. Everything. Whoa, that's impressive. Do you love her? He said, I love everything about her. I said, do you love her? Not things about her. Do you love her? He says, what does that mean? He doesn't even know what her means. I mean, you take away all the things about her, there's nothing left. So he's not married to her. He happens to like many things she has. Not her. So getting married for love is a disaster. First of all, you're already in love. What are you getting married for? And if you're getting married because of love, then you're married to the love, not to the person. So 2 terrible things follow. Number 1, if I fall out of love, you don't belong in my life. Because there's nothing else about you that I want other than love. So if I'm not getting your love, then this is over. There's nothing else. So it's almost like love me or else. Love becomes a threat. The other bad news is, if I married you for love and I don't think I'm getting love from you, naturally I'm going to go find it from someone else. Because I'm after love. If I'm not getting it from you, I'll get it from somebody else. But I will not live without love. So every guy who cheats on his wife has the same excuse. She loves me. You don't marry for love and you don't marry for sex. You marry for her because it's not good to be alone. So you need someone who is not you to be with you. Then you're not alone. But we happen to have a little distaste for anyone who is not me. So I love all the things about her that suit me. I don't like the fact that she's not me. Or in simple language, I don't like the fact that she has an opinion. I never married you for your opinion, please. Keep your opinion to yourself. Just give me all the love. It's so childish. So I'm telling people, if you're looking for love, don't get married. You're not mature enough. If you really need love, go back to your mother. Your mother doesn't love you, that's a whole different problem, and marriage is not going to solve it.
How old were you when you got married?
21,
21. How many kids do you have?
14.
14? Oh my goodness, that's awesome. What's the age gap between the oldest and the youngest?
About 20 years.
Do you regret not having more, or do you think 14 was your perfect number?
More is better.
More is better.
But you reach a point where you just, can't spread yourself any thinner and you're getting old. But if we could have had more, sure.
Okay, since you had 14, you must have some pretty stellar parenting advice.
Yeah, leave your kids alone. Get off their back. Look, if you're living a worthy life and they're growing up in that life, you got little to worry about. If your life is not something they would want for themselves, well, then you got a big job ahead of you. Because now you've created a life for yourself, but you also have to create a life for each of your children who don't want the life you have. Wow, that's way too difficult. You live a life where your children can't wait to step into your shoes. That's a healthy family. But children who say, "Oh, never want to be a father," or "I would never want to be a mother," that's not good. In a healthy family, the little girl can't wait to be a mommy. So you don't really have to push them around and beat them into shape, and they're following right behind you. Just lead. Show them a life worth living, and they'll live it.
I anytime I talk to someone with a lot of kids, I'm always so fascinated because sometimes I'm thinking to myself, "How did you make that work?" But I guess you just make it work somehow? Like, how'd you make 14 kids work? And I mean, I imagine you guys had to buy or have a pretty decent sized home, or I imagine at least, I don't know, all the kids shared a room with each other to some degree. But how did you and your wife make that work as the kids were growing up?
We lived, and they lived with us. I mean, of course, you have little crises that you have to handle, and But life works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with each kid. There are a lot of people who say, I hesitate having children because they're going to start asking me questions and I don't know what to tell them. You don't know what to tell. What do you tell yourself? They're going to ask, what is life all about? And I don't know what to say. Then how are you living your life? The problem is not the kids. The same answers you need to give your kids, you need to give yourself first. So if your children ask you, what is the meaning of life? And you don't know the answer, what does that say about your life?
Did your kids ask you that question when they were growing up?
Did I?
Did your kids ask you the question of what's the meaning of life when they were kids?
Yeah. I mean, they don't put it in such philosophical terms. They say, why do I have to? Why is it like that? What they mean is, why anything? And it's a very good question. And if all you have to offer is, just do it, because I'm telling you, that's not going to work.
Because the meaning of life is obviously a very challenging philosophical question. But what for you has been the most challenging philosophical question?
Why do good people suffer? But you can't ask that question if you don't believe in God. It's a question for believers only. Because if you believe there's a God and God said good people will be rewarded and bad people will be punished, now you see bad people succeeding and good people suffering, you got a question. But if there's no God, what's your question? Why do good people suffer? What's the difference whether they're good or bad? Life stinks? What else you want to know? So you can't ask that question unless you believe in God.
So I think the last thing we were talking about was the fact that you don't read any philosophers.
Right. Because as much as you philosophize about life, is it necessary? You can make life sound really, really nice, and that's good. Still not necessary. So what? The bottom line urgent question is why, not how. And all we've ever focused on is how to make life better. Why life at all? Nobody wants to answer that question. So this is way beyond philosophy. It's much more urgent and it's much more fundamental. They tell this joke about a philosophy professor who says, let me tell you what philosophy is. Philosophy tells you that life is like a river. And a student said, how is life like a river? And the professor said, okay, so it's not. You don't like my answer? Fine. There's no compelling reason. It's like, you want to get to heaven? This is what you have to do. Why do I want to get to heaven? You got to die to get to heaven. Why would I want to do that? There's never a why to anything. You must be religious and believe in God, otherwise you're going to go to hell. All right, so I'll go to hell. Okay, fine. Like,
Yeah, let me ask you this then. Why are you Jewish versus anything else?
I'm born Jewish. There's nothing I can do about that.
Oh, well, I guess I always get confused with that. The culture Jew versus the religious Jew. That always gets me. So I guess why are you religiously Jewish? Is that more fair to ask?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm shocked at the other way around. This guy says, "I became a Christian last year." I said, "What were you before that?" He says, "Nothing." I said, "You can't be nothing." So we're shocked right you're not born into something? But it's true. Jews are born Jewish. Now the question is, will you follow the rules? But you're born into it. I am a descendant of Aaron the directly, son after son. So he is my grandfather, and Moses is my uncle. This is not a theory. Now the question is, what do I want to do about it?
Well, you mean that in, like, the literal sense?
Yeah,
Why does that have to be in the literal sense?
it is.
That Moses is your uncle and Aaron's your grandpa?
Yeah.
Why is that? I'm why I've never heard that before.
Well, every Jew today is a descendant of one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Okay.
Literal, a biological descendant. Then there are the converts who join the family. But being Jewish means you are a descendant of one of those sons of Jacob, which is why we're called Israelites. The children of Israel means the children of Jacob. So we're either from the tribe of Levi or the tribe of Yehuda, which is where the word Judaism comes from, Judah. So we're Jewish by birth. Now we're observant or practicing by conviction.
So you've never thought of ever looking at other religions or deconverting or anything like that?
You can't stop being Jewish. You can't deny your ancestors. So the question is only, how do you want to go about it? if if Moses is my uncle, I have only one of two choices: either join him or fight him. Like, I can't stop him from being my uncle.
What do you think about Christianity?
Christianity was started by Jews, which is something people can't wrap their heads around. Jesus was Jewish. The disciples were Jewish. It was all started by Jews, and it was kind of a breakaway theology that became very popular. It created some terrible anti-Semitism, and till today, every Jew is a little frightened by Christianity. Um, But what Christianity did was to take the fundamentals of Judaism universal. We disagree on many details, but the fundamentals, that there's a creator, there is a Bible, there is a heaven, there's a hell, there's a Messiah, those fundamentals, Christianity introduced to a world that we would never have reached. Islam did that too, to some degree. So both religions that are or have been anti-Semitic, and we've suffered from them terribly. We're still suffering from Islam. But you got to admit that they 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 made God universal. Now we just have to straighten out some of the details, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, because you guys obviously believe the Messiah has yet to come. So, do you? I guess then you would say you believe that Jesus was just a good teacher.
We know who he was and who his teacher was, and he had some powerful, charismatic talents. He wasn't the greatest of the rabbis, but whatever he did, he became very, very popular with non-Jews. So, are you a Christian?
I am.
So, almost all the things that are said about Jesus is true of all the people as a people. The Jewish people are exactly what Christianity says about Jesus. We are God's suffering servant, suffering from the iniquities of others. I mean, we're suffering thousands of years, not just one day. So, who is the suffering servant of God? Yeah, you can say it's Jesus. You can say it's all Jews. He is of God. Well, yeah, Jews are the chosen people. He is the Messiah to the world. The Jewish people are a light to the nations. All the principles are there. We just have to straighten out the details.
Mm. Do you think that Jesus did supernatural miracles?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, why shouldn't I believe it?
I don't know. I don't think it's a common belief amongst Jews, unless it is, but
No, the belief is that even if you perform miracles, doesn't mean you're God. So yeah, well, I have nothing. I have no reason to doubt his ability to perform miracles.
or the virgin birth.
Same thing. If he is a virgin birth, does that make him God? No.
It's not necessarily. Hmm.
So we don't argue with any of the facts. We're arguing about the conclusion. If he could walk on water and revive the dead, he must be God. No. Many holy people did the same thing.
Have you yourself ever experienced something supernatural?
What's supernatural?
I guess nothing that can be explained within the natural realm of reality. I guess, say, like ghosts, spirits, demons, some kind of thing that has no explanation besides something outside of.
That is not supernatural.
Oh, what is supernatural?
Ghosts and spirits and miracles and and mind reading and premonitions of the future. It's all part of nature. There's nothing miraculous about that. It's the spiritual or intangible part of nature. I mean, psychics actually say anyone can train to become psychic. Yeah, like everybody can be a Rembrandt, you know? But it's not supernatural. It's the other side of nature.
So supernatural not even like a useful term then?
So supernatural would be if, you're in a car accident and the car is completely totaled and you're not hurt. How do you figure that? That's a contradiction in nature.
Okay, let's
If a
see that
piano
definition.
falls on your head and you don't even have a headache, that's supernatural.
Okay. Have you experienced a contradiction in nature?
Yeah, many times.
Oh, got any stories?
Uh, they're common day events.
Common day events, such
Yeah,
as what?
the doctor said there's no hope, you're gonna die, and you don't die.
This happened to you personally?
No.
Has anything like this happened to you personally?
Oh, 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 oh. Not really.
Not really.
You're a boring life.
Boring life. You have 14 kids. You're the most popular rabbi in the world.
I didn't say I wasn't busy.
Oh, man. W what are your thoughts on, do you think aliens are real?
What?
Do you think aliens are real?
Probably. They're just not little green men, you know what I mean? They're not ET.
Do you think they look like humans?
No, no, that's fantasy. There are other forms of life that we know about humans, animals, vegetables, and minerals. Why assume there's nothing else? But that there are other humans that have one eye instead of two? No, no, that's crazy.
So even like UFOs in the sky, you don't really subscribe to that?
No, there's some alien culture that's coming to attack us, and no.
Okay. What's your take on,
But,
artificial intelligence?
we're discovering forms of life at the bottom of the ocean that we never knew about.
Yeah.
It's not a fish, it's not a fowl, it's not a plant, it's weird. It's another form of life that we never saw before, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, not believing is usually a failure. Why believe less when you can believe more? It's such a negative, I don't know, something timid about, "No, no, no, that's it, there's no more." Even people
Yeah.
who say, "When you die, it's just over." Say, "No, you go on living." They don't wanna hear it. They just want it to be over. They wanna keep things at the minimum.
Do you have thoughts on, artificial intelligence?
I think it's a great thing.
Mm.
It's a great thing because it can do everything you need done except love. That you're gonna have to do yourself, and that's great.
So you have no fear that technology is gonna go too far, that it kind of takes over humanity in a way?
Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, the AI is gonna develop a soul with an opinion? No. Even angels don't have an opinion, and they're not artificial.
Oh, I didn't know that. Angels don't have an opinion?
No. The good thing about angels is they have no will of their own. They're just extensions of God. So Satan does not have a will of its own. Satan is not at war with God. It's an angel, and unfortunately, it gets to do all the dirty work. But it does it because God told him to. It does not have a will of its own, otherwise it's idol worship. So you see, we believe in Satan, but the details have to be corrected. Satan is not a rogue angel. Angels can't go rogue. They don't have free will. And that's why God doesn't relate to them. There's no one to talk to. They have no free will. They have no opinion. They're very good messengers, like drones. Like a drone, they'll deliver the goods for you. They don't have an opinion as to where to go and where not to go.
Wow. I gotta look more into that. But so what's your age?
78.
78 mighty years. What are some things you still want to achieve?
Oh, I want to influence 7 billion people.
7 billion, that's a lot.
Well, I'm leaving a billion for somebody else.
That's nice of you.
Yeah. I'm very generous.
Influence them, I guess, in what ways particularly?
About what life is all about and how they should live their lives. Meaningful in the service of God. So here's the my entire message in one phrase. Stop using God, start serving God.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.